Whether you sign on for it or not, you will sign up for it. It's in the small print. If you didn't know it, you sign up for ministry. You sign up for serving God through serving others. So says the sacred text. So you don't have to say, hold up your hands, I want to sign up for this, that, or the other. Even if you don't pick a career choice, one has already been picked for you. You sign up. You've already been signed up to serve other people. You can look good and handsome and cute in that endeavor, but nonetheless, that shouldn't deter you from serving. You just serve looking handsome and cute and good and whatever else, but make sure that you are serving. If I recall correctly, last Sunday, Reverend Williamson said that those guys who fill up those water pots, those 6 water pots, he said from there on out, they were serving. They fill up the pots, the stone water pots. They took the wine, they, gave it to the governor, and it was acknowledged clear across the board that this wine is better than that which you first set out, because God had to do with it. They were serving. That's the point. That's the idea. Wherever you are this morning, you're serving. In your home, you are servants. You're servants to your family. And however you serve them, you're a servant. You, as a Christian, you are being a servant. Not just a provider, but a servant. Not just a fixer-upper, but a servant. Come on. Fix up your house for your family. You're serving your family. When they come in, you want them to awe and woo you because of your service, and they can see the evidence of your serving. Good meal, serving. Buy something pretty, something stately, something handsome. Service. We are servants. Go on your job. Even though you're getting paid, but you ought to have a different mentality of people who are just getting paid. Come on. You are servants. You're serving somebody. You're making somebody day complete and full. You just not looking at these applications and, perusing through them and casting them aside. That's a person who is behind that application. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? So we are servants. And I know it's kind of hard for most Christians because we don't like to use the term servant. I heard a pastor in a conference one time said he got rid of all his leaders, every last one of them, because he wouldn't put women leader, a men leader, a deacon leader. He put servant leader. He called all of them servant leaders. You got to be if you're a leader, you are a servant. And he said they didn't like that title being a servant leader, but that's the only title in the Bible. You don't get too much for being president, but your position, your title is servant leader. Until you get to the point where you say, servant, well done. Been faithful over a few things. Come on and talk to me. Come on up, I'll make you ruler over much. There is a pericope in 2 Kings 38, verse of the 4th chapter. Pray for me. I'm struggling, as you know, with my eyesight and all of that kind of stuff. I am, but I'm not going to let it stop me. And through 41, I want to read that because it's very important in the life and in the service of Elisha or Elisha, whichever you call. And it reads in the 38th verse, And Elisha came again to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land. And the sons of the prophet were sitting before him, and he said to his servant, set on the great pot and seethe pottage for the sons of the prophet. And one went out unto the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, gathered thereof, wild gourds in his lap full, and came and shredded them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. So they poured out for the men to eat, and it came to pass as they were eating that they cried out and said, O thou man of God, there is death in the pot. And they could not eat thereof. But he said, then bring meal. And he cast it into the pot. And he said, pour out for the people that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot. I want to preach to you this morning about impediment to ministry. Impediment. Impediment. What is your impediment to ministry? What is your impediment? If you're going to serve God and be faithful, all who choose to live godly shall suffer persecution. You remember that, don't you? And so it's no such thing as you began your ministry, whatever it may be, to whomever it may be, should be to the glory of God. I hate that the Bible study group has to hear this same. I taught this, but I didn't teach it under this name. I take my sermons and dress them up just like you dress up. I got on a gray suit today. I had on a black one last Sunday, and I might have on a green one next Sunday. Same person, but I just wear what? Different suit. And I suppose that most of us do that. Y'all not happy this morning. I want y'all to be happy. But the point is, an impediment is designed, in its natural design, is to impede us, to keep us from going forward, to keep us from accomplishing that which God has laid before us, and to set you back and to give you some trouble, unexpected trouble. I made a statement this morning in the office. If you're on your way to church or somewhere to do some ministry, not necessarily church, and somebody run T-bone you, and of course you're not injured, and you cannot get to the place that you're going to do what you have set out to do, that's an impediment. That wasn't planned. Most time, impediments aren't planned. Sometimes the devil planned to stop you. But most impediments aren't planned processes. It is something that happened, and because you are in the line as it relates to responsibility or duty or whatever else, it falls on you. The results, the outcome, become a hindrance, and that's what an impediment. It's a hindrance. It is a burden, an added burden to you. That an impediment is not something planned to stop you, but it will stop you. And I think that most times in our churches, we fall victims to impediments more than we fall victims to the enemy. We want to blame. Man, listen, if your car, if my car won't start, ain't me blaming the devil. I should have took it to the shop, get it serviced. But blame the devil stop. No. The devil didn't stop that. That's poor service that you're providing for your car. And it just broke down on Sunday morning. Well, the devil got it. No. Go out there, lay hands on it all you want to. That's not the devil. That's you. So impediments, while I'm preaching, you're thinking now in your mind, what is it that I have encountered in the last few months, few weeks, few days, or even on yesterday that serve as a hindrance to me right now? I could be thinking more in tune to what Pastor is preaching if this thing had not come upon me. Elisha is in his normal transition of ministry. He's going from Jericho to Gilgal, which he's at here in the text. He's going all about on a circuit to serve people. He has met a woman who didn't have a son, told her, you're going to have a son. The son died. He brought the son back alive. He met with some people who said, we got a good city. Got a good city. I don't know how they could say that. This is good to preach, brother. You got a good city. I ain't going to tell you where it's found. You have to find it yourself. He said, we got a good city, but the water is bad. Now, that's a mystery to me. How you got a good city when the water is bad? Particularly in the ancient culture, when sterilization and those kinds of things. He said, the water is bad, and then notice that as a result of bad water, the land is barren. But we got a good, it's amazing what people would tolerate and put up with and call good. Above what God has promised us. Are y'all going to talk back to me? He had dealt with that. He had dealt with these seminarians who were smart, articulate, and knew more than they knew. When Elijah, his protege, was taken up. He had dealt with all of that, and then he had dealt with a woman whose husband was a preacher. He died. He said, what you got in your house? She said, I got a few pots in there. He said, bring them to me. And he filled up every one of those pots with oil. God did, of course. And the oil did not waste. It stayed. No more ran out. God is not a God of waste. Shucks, I feel like Negro preaching this morning. Can I say something? This is just me. I'm old-fashioned. Y'all know I'm not. Learn that to eat everything you put on your plate. You ought not just throw food away because you got it. There might be a time when you want some food. Wish you had some food. And here you got to think about all that food you threw away. Mama said, I ain't having it. It ain't going to happen here. And so that became our lunch for these. So here they are at Gilgal, which is in the plains of Jericho. Gilgal is in the plains, in the low plains of Jericho. Gilgal is important in your life and in your ministry, in that Gilgal is the place where the shame of the world is taken away from you. God almighty. Man, I feel like preaching anymore. Where the shame, you know how, you know how shameful it was when you came out of the world and came to Christ. It was where the reproach of Israel was removed of Egypt, brother, was removed from Israel. It was the place where they got a mark in the flesh, the males, where they were circumcised. And that's what Gilgal means. It means to roll away their reproach. But listen, let me tell you something. All of the shame may be rolled away, but God is still the sovereign God of the universe. And you know what happens when a dearth comes? Do you know what a dearth is? A dearth is when the water dries up. God Almighty. A dearth is when your yard look like somebody set it ablaze and you can't water it no more because the city won't let you water it. That's a dearth to some degree. Dearth, when a dearth comes, all the crops are lost. The tomatoes, all the things that we love to eat, potatoes, cucumbers, and then all of the food for the cow. The cows don't have any more hay. God. The goats can't produce no, what they call that goat cheese. I forget what the name of it, but it's good. You don't have any more of that. In other words, all you have left is drought and sand and dust. And sometime in serving God, that's what we come to. Sometime in serving, that's what we come to. We come to the point where there isn't anything else left. Do you hear what I'm saying? Nothing left. Gilgal, the reproach was removed, but here at Gilgal, a famine has come. I'm serving, Lord, why the famine? Famines come. God sent them. He doesn't need a reason. And when Elisha came in to Gilgal, he said to his servant, it doesn't say his name, but I know who it was Gehazi. He said to him, go in the kitchen and make a big pot of stew. That's just my interpretation. When he says sit on the great pot, that means go cook some food. You know, whatever kind of stew, soup, whatever you like. Go in there. Because I still have all these guys I have to feed. I used to watch my mama with all of us, 8 of us. And I watched my mama, she wouldn't eat until she made sure. I wish I had somebody. Y'all act like y'all. She wouldn't eat until she made sure that all of us had eaten. She made absolutely sure that every last one of us had eaten, and we were full as much as we could be based upon what we had. Listen, the famine doesn't preclude you from your serving duties. Say that again. The famine does not preclude you, does not cut you out from your serving duties. With the famine, you still must serve. And this is what happens here. This is the picture here. At Gilgal, at the place where shame has been taken away, they face shame again in the fact that God sends a famine. The earth is the Lord's, right? The fullness thereof. The world and they that dwell therein. God can place his foot on the storm, on the sea, and ride in every storm. Whatever impedes us doesn't necessarily impede God's. We've been saying he makes a way. Does he? Does God really make a way out of no way? And so he tells him to go sit on and cook some stew. And he sends him out into the field. Now notice, in my bringing up, my mama had a little garden. And I'm quite sure that your mothers probably had gardens. And I know if you, like Brother Taylor lived in Acres Home, he had a garden. Didn't y'all have a garden, Doc? You had a garden, so you had a garden. My wife them had a garden. My mother had a long, big garden right by her house. And in that garden, she raised all kind of things. But you cannot confuse. Here's what they did. Y'all keeping the pericope on me? Y'all keeping the text on me? Keep the text on me. You cannot confuse turnip green with squash. They just don't. A mustard green with watermelon. Because one is an herb. The greens are herb, leafy plants. They're herbs. No, not them kind that y'all used to talk about. I'm not talking about that today. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But I'm not talking about them kind. I'm just talking about herbs as it relates to vegetables. Turnip greens and mustard greens and collard greens. If I don't have none already on the pot, I'm going to have to go home and put me some. This sermon is making me hungry. Yeah. He put on some. They went out into the field to find some herbs. Can I say something about ministry? And nothing is as impeding in ministry as when we're in our immature state and cannot make the discerning difference between gourds and herbs. And not only were there's a difference, but the gourds, he found them on a wild vine. Lord, I hate to get in the church and start talking about wild vine. I understand service and services, but service primarily, fundamentally, is to every believer. The body is to serve itself. Come on and talk to me. I'm not called to serve the city of Houston. Come on and talk to me. I'm called to serve the people of God. Come on and talk to me. And most of us think that our service, we have to go to everybody. We can do that if we choose to do that. But we are called to serve one another. It doesn't matter. Don't let the world define who you are and what you're supposed to do as a church. Some of us are so confused about what we're supposed to do until we let the world set our agenda. That's a wild vine with wild gourds. That's a wild vine. It's hard for me. I can't call no woman sir when I know she's a woman. And I can't call no man ma'am when I know he's a man. That's a wild vine. And everything on it. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. My grandchild is that way. My little cousin is that way. They subscribe to that lifestyle. It matters not. You pray for them and ask God to deliver them and change them. But don't you give up your great inheritance and compromise, because that's a wild vine. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? And do you not know that what you have to say is going to always make the world angry? what you have to say. It's going to always make the world angry. Huh? Oh, yeah. I didn't do nothing to my grandchildren, but when they got a little older, they started drifting away from me because I didn't subscribe to their lifestyle. I told them, I love you, son, but that you're doing, I don't hold to it. Huh? I don't hold to it. You help that girl to hold up for herself. Don't bring her down. Help her to hold her up. Come on, you got the rest of your life to live. You can't live all your life in 2 days. Cover up, baby. Cover up. Cover up. Nobody don't want to see all of that. That don't even look good to you when you look at it in the mirror. Cover up. You got to have made up your mind that when you minister in a famine, that you got to minister, at the risk of the famine consuming you. I'm consuming you. So here they are, and I'm almost through. Here they are, here Elisha. Y'all follow me, aren't you? Ministering through his servant Gehazi. And he said that, and one went out with him, and I assume, it doesn't say in the text, and I don't want to say what the text doesn't say. I assume that it was one of the seminary students. I assume that it was. I don't see nobody else in the context that would suggest any otherwise, so I'm assuming that it was one. Didn't call his name. That's not important. What is important is what he did. What he did. He did what any immature person will do. He didn't mean to bring, gourds. He thought he was helping out. I'm gonna make this stew. I'm gonna make this, what y'all call it? I'm gonna make this stew pop today. Yeah, I'm gonna make it pop today. You gonna make it pop today? Yeah, I'm gonna make it pop today. That's what he thought. My sister-in-law, my brother Jimmy's wife, Faye, she used to say, she'd take corn out of the can and beans, and she said, I'm going to jazz these beans up. That means that she's going to put her spices in them and her ingredients in them, and when you got through, they would taste something different than what came out the can. This boy didn't mean to throw a wrench in the supper. He just didn't know what he was doing. There's so many people who have ideas and suggestions about the ministry of the church, what the church ought to be doing, and what they don't mean no harm, but they'll get you in trouble. Unless the Lord build the house. I don't care how smart you are, Mac Paul. I don't care what kind of strategist you are. I don't care what kind of idealist you are. I don't care how neo-modern you are. Except the Lord build the house. All of the laborers labor in vain. God has to build his house. God knows how he wants his house built. You're not going to lack me much. He knows. He that keepeth Israel, he doesn't sleep, nor he slumber. He see the midnight as the noonday. I wish I had. Yeah. He sets up on the circle of the universe. And when he gets tired of setting, he walks around holding the world in his hand. I don't know how he does that. How you walk around on the world and while you're holding it in your hand, it's a mystery to me. Except the Lord build the church. Wait a minute, Pastor. That's some great bishops in this city. You hear what I'm saying this morning? If God doesn't build it, all of your labor. Don't get so excited about building. That's what happened to them at Babel. That's what happened at Babel. They said, we're going to build a tower to heaven. Don't get so excited about building. Anybody can build. So God went down and confused their language. Don't get so excited. Just accept the Lord build the house. They cooked this gumbo with those poisonous God Almighty, God Almighty, ingredients in it. that God is the sovereign king that he is. Thank God that he's sovereign over all human existence. Know our downsetting, uprising. He know your purpose in ministry. He know the path that you're on and the impediments that you're facing. He knows this morning. Huh? Tell God. Tell God. Tell your friends and neighbors less and tell God. Friends and neighbors got the same problem. Come on and talk to me. They can't help you. They can listen. They can extend to you an ear, but they can't help you. They can't make the impediment move away. Do you hear what I'm saying? So while they were eating this poison pottage, they were eating it in verse 40. He poured it out for the men to eat. It came to pass as they were eating the pottage, they cried out and said, O thou man of God. Whew. Oh, there's some things that ain't going to get better in our lives until we pursue it the way God said. Listen, I got more business now that is unkept my own that I don't want to know nobody's business. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? But if you got some business that you can't get handled, you might need to tell a preacher. You don't have to tell me. You might need to tell a preacher about it. Because a preacher should stand in the courtyards of men and listen to a conversation from heaven and report to men what he hears from heaven, that God be glorified. If God can't turn it around, if I were preaching this morning, right here I would holler. If I was preaching this morning, right here I would holler and say, if God can't turn it around, if God can't help you, if God can't deliver you, there is nobody else who can. Hey! You're carrying a perpetual burden because you're trying to keep it to yourself. Oh, I know how I'm a Negro. I know how messy Negroes are. I know Negroes talk and tell everything, but not everybody. And everybody out to destroy you. Come on. And so, when you face an impediment, call the one who can do something about it. O thou man of God, just voluntarily come out, that was in the heart, came out. O thou man of God, there is poison. There is death. They didn't say poison. There is death. Can I tell you something? Some things that we encounter in life, McKinley, all of us, if we don't tell the right source, it will kill us. I don't mean literally and figuratively. I mean literally, but I mean figuratively. They would say, isn't that the fellow that used to preach down there? So I remember that fellow standing in that corner. He used to shout all the time in church. There's some things in life that are so poison, it will kill you. Instead of you talking to folk will be talking about what you used to be and what you used to do. The enemy comes to rob. Y'all don't hear me. I guess y'all wonder why I don't talk a whole lot about, who you're going with and who you're shacking with. I know people do that stuff. I'm not stupid. They're going to keep on shacking when I get through preaching, too. I ain't going to talk. I'm not going to spend a whole hour preaching talking about that. I'm going to just preach the gospel. If I preach the gospel, I believe the gospel will convict your heart. That you'll have to do something about those conditions. Talk to me now. Those of us who stand like I stand, We are a long way from being perfect. Most of us want you to think that we are. We are a long ways. And some things that we've overcome doing just because of time and the grace of God. I wish I had somebody. So I'm not going to spend all of my time talking about something that people ain't going to stop doing. I'm going to spend my time telling you about the awesomeness of God. About the awesomeness of God. And said, there's death in the pot. Now notice what he did. He didn't talk about his credentials. He didn't talk about Kevin, what he had already done. He had an impressive resume in ministry up to this point. But he didn't go bring that to bear on this situation. What he brought to bear on this situation is that his faith in God toward God's people. He said, bring me some meal. In the second chapter, he had used salt to heal the water at Jericho. But here he said, bring me some meal. You are the salt of the earth. And brought salt. He says, you are the bread of heaven. He is the bread of heaven. He's the bread from above. If anybody ever been in touch with the living bread, it takes meals to make bread, doesn't it? He's the living bread. Out of all that you know about him, know that he is the bread from heaven. Bread of heaven. Bread of heaven. Feed me till I want no more. He said, bring me some meal. And he threw it in the poison pot. When Jesus gets into your poison situation in ministry, we used to have a brother here used to sing, he's on the right road now. That was old Harold. He'll put you back on the right road. Do you hear what I'm saying? There was no more poison in the pot. Let me tell my little story and I'm going to get on out of here. Can I tell you my little story? This is mine. I don't mean to bother, but this is my story. This is my story, and it involved, I didn't have no 3 sons, but my 2 sons. We were in my mother's home before she passed away. And I had to get back to Houston. It was Sunday evening, never shall forget. And a storm came, very vicious, violent storm came, so much so until it was whiteout conditions all around. And I had my 2 sons, Gabe and Marcus. Marcus probably about 14, 15 years old. Gabe was probably 8, 9, or whatever it was. 10. And I said, Mama, I got to go. I got to get back to Houston. She said, MacArthur, you can't get out there in that rain like that. It's raining too hard. And she was right, but I had to get on the highway. So she gave me a quilt for those boys. I don't recall how cool it was or anything like that, but she gave, I don't even recall what month. But we got in the car, and we got started, and the rain, more further we got, more progressive the rain, severe the rain came. And my boys was in the back. They weren't paying any attention. They were just having a good time doing what they were doing. Just laughing and just talking. And all I could do, Sandra, was try to make sure that I got the steering wheel and I could see the road to keep driving. Them boys were just kicking it up back there. They was enjoying one another, but I couldn't focus on what they were doing. So I had to focus on the road, but I did hear them. They was having a good time. To make a long story short, we got further on down the road, and it became eerily quiet in the car. I didn't hear no noise. I didn't hear my boys back there playing. I didn't hear their voices. The storm was still raging, but they had got quiet. They had got quiet. I wonder sometimes. I really wonder sometimes, can we get quiet in the midst of our storm? And I thought about what had happened while the storm was raging on the outside. Them boys of mine got back there, got tired of playing, got tired of chatter, and they fell asleep in the middle of the storm. They fell asleep. The lightning was still flashing. The thunder was still roaring. But them boys of mine, Marcus and Gabe, fell asleep in the midst of the storm. And as soon as I got space and enough clearing to get me a shout break, I act like I wanted to get me some gas. I didn't need no gas. I need to shout and raise my hand and tell God how great thou art. How great they are. That's not something I read. That's something that happened to me. And my boys, Marcus and Gabe, they went to sleep with their dad, with their daddy driving in the middle of a storm. Do you hear what I'm saying? Don't let nothing impede you. Come on, impediment can't stop you. Keep on going. Keep on going, and after a while you hear God say, servant, well done. Thou good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. Come on up. I'll make you ruler. He deals with impediments by moving them out of the way for your continual progress, that he may be put on display. The impediment is not about you. It wasn't about the prophet. He had to feed those boys and whoever was around. He had to do that. He couldn't allow an impediment to stop his progress because he was preparing them for future ministry. That's what he was doing. And there was an impediment that came up, didn't come up, didn't plan on, but there was a dearth. And he showed how to overcome the dearth. Mackie, come and extend invitation to discipleship. He's going to extend this invitation to discipleship. I want you to be prayerful about you. I want you to be prayerful about you. Everything that is concealed will be hidden. I'm not talking about conceal about the other person. I'm talking about conceal about you. It will be revealed. I want you to contemplate you as this invitation of discipleship is being extended.